Hi, it's Megan. I was one of the lucky few who got one of the Lorac Mega Pros when they popped up on the Lorac site for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, whatever it was. But I was lucky. I was watching and I was just lucky. This is, I think if I remember correctly, because it's not on my receipt and it's no longer up on the internet, I think it was $59 if I remember correctly. And once I get a final number, it's going to be on sale on October 6th or 7th. And once I get a final number again, I'll just put it in the description here. And you get 30 to 34 shades. Half, 16 are matte, and 16 are shimmer. And so this is a limited edition, double the size of the past Lorac palettes. And they say these velvety smooth shadows are infused with soothing botanical and ultra pigmented to perform wet or dry. And it is October 7th. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through an overview of the palette, just kind of my thoughts, and then I'm going to compare it to, just show you next to the first original Pro and then Pro 2, and then I'm going to go shadow by shadow and do a quick swatch and tell you what I think of the shade. But overall, let's open it up. So it has a mirror, which I'm not going to show, but it's right there. And this is it. I've been playing around with it, so you can see I've already swatched and played with it. And what I really like about these, first of all, I think the formula is beautiful. If you like Lorac. So these are a little bit tiny powdery, but they're that super creamy powdery, so they apply and blend really beautifully. Number two, I like the fact that there are a lot of lighter shades. I just find so many palettes are going for that kind of eye-catching, amazing, unusual, whatever, that they forget about the fact that most of us want to use the base shade. A lot of us have lighter skin tones or want a more natural look. And so I love the fact that there are a lot of kind of more natural things here. In fact, I would go to say, so far as to say that of the holiday palettes, not just of like makeup in general, just the holiday like bigger palettes, this and the Makeup Forever 30-year anniversary are probably my two favorites. Now I also really like Vice 3, but Vice 3 had kind of some neutrals that were a little edgy, and then it had a lot of shimmer and it had a lot of color compared to this. So this is for someone who wants a more natural look. And even the darker shades I found you could blend out so beautifully and just use them as accents. And even the shimmers, I was actually wearing a couple of the shimmers earlier today on my lids. I had like negative 10 minutes to get ready, so I did a couple of the lighter shimmers, and it was just so pretty. They have a soft sheen, but they really are more on that kind of natural spectrum. Next, I do like the shades that they picked. I found them really wearable. I like the fact that they brought in some of the kind of more burgundy-ish shades. These kind of lilacs are unusual purples, but they're also more wearable than some of the brighter purples. And they brought in a little bit more pink, so it's not just all browns and grays, but I felt this palette was more like the original Lorac palette, Pro palette, than Pro 2, which I thought was a little bit smokier. But it does have a couple darker shades, and I tried them wet and dry and they worked really well. So I, of course, forgot to bring the original and to my chair where I'm shooting this. I'm losing my voice, so I have to turn this off for a second. So this Pro 2 does not come with an eyeshadow primer like the original did. So let me show you the original. Let's see if I can hold these both up at the same time. So you see the first one was definitely more brown toned. And the second Pro 2 was, I think, a little smokier. And it doesn't have, none of them have the kind of reddish purplish stuff. They have a few like purples, but not that kind of reddish thing that we're seeing a lot of this fall. So overall, I think that if you're gonna get a holiday palette and you want something that's a little bit more neutral looking, I think this is a total winner. I love it a lot. I love both the mattes and I love the shimmers. I just think they're so wearable. The formula is beautiful, blendable, it applies amazingly well. and it wears about 9+ hours on me without a primer, but it lasts longer with primer. And I like the color selection. If you want a more neutral look, you can also smoke it up, but honestly this is more neutral. Okay, so I'm gonna go through these one by one. I'm not gonna hold up the palette every time, and I already did outdoor swatches, which I put always at the beginning of the video because then people can just watch that if they want and not see the rest of the video. But I'm gonna go through them one by one. So first is Cream, and this is actually in the Pro palette. And this, if you can see, is just it's a very warm toned cream. And these types of things aren't gonna show up on my skin because they're a little too close, so they're gonna show up on my finger but not the skin. Then Fawn, which is more of an apricot. And again, this is almost my skin color because I've got kind of a yellow undertone, so it's not gonna show up so much. But these are great base shades, and I actually have worn Fawn just on my lid. And these are all kind of, the first 4 are gradations of the same, and then the next 4 are kind of, not exactly gradations of the same, but they're kind of in the same family. And there's a lot of that in the palette, so it kind of makes sense. Camel is adding a little bit more orange again, and now you can see it. So again, we're going for kind of a little bit of a light orange with a tinge of brown. But this is like a super soft burnt orange. Definitely not like a bright orange. It's really like a terracotta orange kind of thing. It's Sepia, which to me is a warmer toned soft brown, almost like with a taupe to it. I feel like there's like a shimmer on my hand there. But again, kind of this brownish, rusty kind of thing going on. Totally matte. These are totally matte. These are not like the matte with a little bit of shimmer. Dusty Plum, I love this, so pretty. This is kind of a brown undertoned, maybe a taupe undertoned plum. You can see the purple in it, but it really is just a great neutral shade. Orchid I have on my lid. So you can see this is what I have on my lid. And the great thing about this orchid, after having seen like This Be the Year of the Orchid, this is such a soft, muted, right, pinky purple. Again, super flattering. Mulberry, okay, I have mulberry in my crease, blended out, and then I put a little bit of black in the outer corner, but you can see how they blend so beautifully together. And this is a great kind of a reddish, but it's almost got like a little bit of a brown undertone to it, which makes it softer and easier to wear. And when I say reddish, it's kind of got a purplish red thing going on there. Espresso, I could have used instead of black, which I'll get to eventually, and it is literally called black, but it's a matte. I could have used Espresso as a liner and in the outer corners a little bit to darken it. When I do like a reddish based look, I like to put a little bit of black or brown right on the lash and then in the kind of outer corner, and then even sometimes in the outer crease, because it just makes me look less like I've been beaten up. So this is kind of a neutral to warm, deep dark brown. These types of colors look really, really great on me as a liner and out in the crease, and I think they do on most people because they're dark enough that you get that depth, but they're not quite as harsh as black. Okay, white. White is one of my favorite colors in general because I think it's underrated and under-included in palettes. If you're going to do any color, or if you have a cooler skin tone, and this one's got a touch of warmth to it, but it is a white, but just a touch of warmth. And it has like a slight undertone, but it's more like a goldish, barely, almost not, that just adds a little bit more flattering of an undertone to it. Really pretty color. And if you have a cooler undertone to your skin, and I would say this palette does a good job of mixing kind of cool and warm, where sometimes I feel like a lot of the palettes, the bigger ones now, are just too warm toned. Khaki. This is what I wore actually yesterday. One of those really soft taupey with a slight brown undertone to it. Perfect on the lid when you're in a hurry. And like I said, I have a lot of times where I like -10 minutes to get ready. This one is, I guess it's more neutral than warm to cool tone. Maybe a little tiny bit warm toned, only because it's a brown. The next one has a great name. Next name is Brown. And this is like a darker variation, a little bit of a cool tone brown actually. But it is definitely a soft brown. Stone, another super useful color. So this is almost like a brown, medium brown, with a little bit of gray, and I can see on the camera a little bit of like a mauve. Sometimes I feel like these ones that have like a gray-brown thing going on have almost a slight mauve undertone to it. Again, these are all mattes. And this is another great, great lid shade when you're in a hurry. Lilac. Super amazing shade. So this is like a grayish purple. For some reason it's so light it's not swatching very well. This is a very cool toned, but this is going to look so pretty on most eyes just on the lid. It's just an amazing, amazing color. And I did a purple, which I'm going to show in a little while, called Merlot, which has a shimmer to it. I did that as an under eye liner, and I mixed lilac in part way. So I've got opal, which is like a shimmery white, and the outer, lining the outer part of the eye, and then I go a little bit into the lilac mixed in gradually with Merlot, so that the line is softer because it's kind of going from lighter to dark. So I still line the eye, but it gets darker as it goes out to the corner. Next, Wisteria, another super pretty color. You know, I think Wisteria, did I put this on? No, I did not. I almost did this, but I did not. Okay, so this is that same kind of grayish mauve with almost like a little bit of a brown undertone to it, which keeps it from getting too cool tone, but it is more of a cool tone color. So again, a good mix of cool and warm colors. We're still on the mattes. Then gray. I actually don't mind names like this because sometimes you see these names, you have no idea like what the color is going to mean, but when it says gray or brown, at least you know. So this is kind of a slightly warm. Gray is always a cool color, but this has a slight warmth to it, which makes it kind of more of a neutral gray. And again, I can almost see a little bit of an undertone, but it would be more of a taupe undertone than anything else. But it's just a basic gray. I'm just adding a little color. It's mostly just a basic gray. Black. And this is a black that I would say it's not the darkest black ever, but it's kind of pure matte black, and this blends really beautifully. So I put a little dot of this in the outer corner, and then I also wet it and lined my eye with it, and in the outer corner here, and then I had to soften it because it was a little too dark for me, so I had to soften it with a brush. Opal. Now we're getting into these shimmer shades, and these have like a really soft, pretty shimmer, which still looks amazingly natural. I was wearing these this morning for a super natural business kind of look, and it worked. Okay, so opal I have in the inner corner of my eye. This has a really, really pretty gold, super soft gold, kind of duochrome effect to it. So it's mostly white, but then I can definitely see the gold in some lights. And this I put in the outer corner of my eye. So that's taking a white and making it a little bit more neutral, warmer toned. Sand, this is what I wore on my inner lid today. This is like a yellowish, again gold. It's like a darker, I'm going to put it next to opal. Actually, it's like a lighter. I forgot. This was one of the things I was going to point out. I think that opal is actually slightly darker than sand. Sand is slightly more gold. No, that's wrong. Sand is slightly less gold, and opal is slightly more gold. But the thing that I noticed about these, so look at them in the pan. I almost forgot to say it. This one is actually darker on than this one, but they're pretty much the same kind of color. Just, I guess opal's a little bit more yellow and sand's a little bit more kind of an orangey color. Copper I put in the outer corner of my lid and I lined my under eye with it really pretty earlier today. And this is just a super pretty light copper color. It applies unbelievably smoothly, really beautiful. It's the neighbor's dog barking. Sienna is adding a little bit more of a bronze to it, but again, it's not a super warm bronze. It's definitely warm, but it's more in the neutral to warm bronze as far as bronzes go, making it more wearable for more people. Apricot. This is definitely a beautiful apricot, but it's like a rich kind of an orangey with tiny, tiny, tiny bit of pink. But again, notice how beautifully these shimmers apply, just like one beautiful wash. Blush I have right under here, and this is a super light pink. Definitely kind of a cooler toned. Pink is not going to show up so much. It's a really great highlight shade. It's not a super, super cool pink, but it's definitely on the cooler side. Merlot I put as an under eye liner, and this is, let's come down a little. This is a shimmery, but not super shimmery at all. This is kind of less shimmery than some of the lighter shades. It almost matches my lips, right? It's like a plum color. So Merlot, plum, those would have just a deep purple with like maybe a tiny undertone of red to it. Indigo is a little bit more shimmery. And this is a really cool, such a cool shade. I'm just staring at it. This is almost like a matte base. You hear this matte base with like shimmer. This one you can actually see little bits of shimmer, but I can see purple, I can see pink, and I can almost see like a yellowish or gold in it. It's just super great. And then the base is like a matte, rich, deep, dark brown. This is a super beautiful color. If you want to make a smoky eye, it's really great for that. Vanilla, the next line. This one, I don't know, I kind of feel like Opal, Sand, and Vanilla are a little bit similar. This one's a little bit less gold than the others. There's a little bit less yellow in it. And it's still warmish for a neutral color, but it definitely leans a little bit on the cooler side than the other two. Cashmere. This, again, is a lot like the Sand and Opal and Vanilla. These are all kind of, I'm going to show them, they're all kind of variations on the same sort of shade. And this one right here is almost a softer version of Sand and Opal. But it's also got maybe a little bit more of a brownish undertone as opposed to the others having more of a gold range type undertone. Smoky Topaz. This one's a cooler tone, almost like a bronze, but so soft. A bronze taupe, I guess, just because it's such a lighter, softer shade. Dusty Rose. And this is really light. This is a rose with like a brownish undertone to it. Brownish taupe, really. It's a cooler shade. Granite, a little bit more shimmery than the last one. You can see like a rich, dark bronze, slight shimmer to it. I want to get this, I don't know, I don't want this to be 20 minutes. I want it to be under 20 minutes. I'm trying to get through these fast. Maroon. This is like a bronze color. You can definitely see the brown, but you can see a little bit of that reddish gold in it too. Deep Teal. We got two more. Deep Teal. This to me looks more emerald or forest green than teal, but we'll go with, it's got a green thing going on there, and it's a darkened black and green. The last one, Caviar. This one is in the sun. You can almost see little flecks of glitter, but when you see it in the shade, I wish I could kind of shine light on it. When you see it in the shade, it almost looks like a satin finish. When you see it in the sun, you can definitely see little tiny bits of flecks of black. And this is, I think, let's compare it to black. I think it's a darker black. So this is black and this is Caviar. So that's that. And overall, like I said, I really love it. In fact, I hate to say this, but I like it better than the Pro and the Pro 2. Having said that, it does have an advantage in that it has double the shades, so of course I'm going to like it better. Please, if you have comments, thoughts, suggestions, let me know. The brushes I just used 3 different ones. I used a regular shadow brush, I used my little smoky eye brush, and I used a tiny little eyeliner brush. Subscribe on YouTube, I think I said that. And then I have a new book, Escape. It's a terrorist novel. If you like that, please get it. If you don't, it's on Amazon, then please don't. Thank you.